Have you ever wondered how an entire stadium can hold its breath without the ball even moving? How it's possible that there's no goal, no pass, not even a kickoff, and yet everyone feels like they've witnessed something historic? That's an uncomfortable question for modern football, a sport that's supposed to live on results, trophies, and numbers. And yet, sometimes all of that fades into the background. Sometimes presence is enough, and that moment has a name: Lionel Messi. This wasn't a final. It wasn't a derby. It wasn't a magical European night or a legendary stadium soaked in history. It was simply Messi arriving, walking, smiling, existing. And for millions of people, that alone was worth everything. Context matters. Messi is no longer in the phase of his career where legends are measured by stopwatches or endless comparisons. He doesn't need to prove anything. Every step he takes carries memories that aren't even his. Late nights watching a screen, lost finals that hurt more than most victories, long silences after painful defeats, and also redemptions that once felt impossible. That's why when Messi steps into a country that rarely sees him, he doesn't arrive as a footballer. He arrives as a shared memory. People didn't go to watch him play. They want to watch him be. Outside, everything was chaos. Crowds pushing forward, phones held high, voices speaking different languages but sharing the same emotion. Inside, Messi walked calmly. No rus, no exagerati gestures. Almost unaware that, for many, this moment would be remembered for the rest of their lives. That contrast explains everything. The world running toward him, and him moving slowly through it. There were no dribbles, no shots into the top corner, but there was something far rarer: closeness. A simple wave, a brief smile, a glance that lingers a second longer than expected. Small gestures that seem insignificant, yet for the people receiving them, become eternal. Because in football, just like in life, we don't always remember what happened. We remember how it made us feel. Messi approached a group of kids, not for a perfect photo, not for a marketing campaign, just to talk, to listen, to say something only he could say, with authority and humility at the same time. In that moment, football stopped being a show and became a legacy. One of the kids handed him a shirt. Messi held it for a second, looked at it, signed it, and handed it back. That kid didn't receive a piece of fabric. He received a story he'll tell forever. No camera could fully capture what was happening there. Because the important thing wasn't Messi. It was what Messi awakened in others. That's what many still don't understand. Messi's value is no longer sporting. It's symbolic, emotional, cultural. While some continue debating rankings, statistics, and endless comparisons, others can't explain why they cry just watching him walk onto a field. It's not logic. It's connection. Messi doesn't appear in people's lives like an explosion. He appears like a constant. He was always there, in victory and defeat, in silence and in glory. He never asked for applause, never built a character, never tried to be bigger than he is. He simply was, and time did the rest. That's why his figure crosses cultures without wearing down. He doesn't divide. He doesn't provoke. He doesn't impose himself. He accompanies. In a world where many idols need to shout to exist, Messi chose to speak softly. And still, everyone listened. There was a moment, almost invisible. Messi walking through the crowd, a kid trying to get closer, the crowd closing in, and someone opening a path so that kid could take a photo. It wasn't a goal. It didn't show up in any stat sheet. But emotionally, it was a masterpiece. Because that gesture sums up everything Messi represents. Football as a bridge, not a stage. That day, no one celebrated a goal. They celebrated a name, a walk, a greeting, a smile. It may sound exaggerated, but it isn't. For millions, Messi doesn't represent a match. He represents a chapter of their lives. They followed him when losing hurt, when it seemed like it would never happen, when doubts surrounded him, and also when everything finally came together. Messi was always there. And that consistency builds something no marketing strategy can manufacture. That's why the madness wasn't spontaneous. It was accumulated. Years of long-distance connection that suddenly became real. Messi stopped being an image on a screen and became flesh and blood. And when that happens, the reaction is inevitable. People didn't go to demand anything from him. They went to give something back. Gratitude. That was the feeling in the air. Not empty idolization. Not blind fanaticism. Just thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for accompanying us. Thank you for never truly leaving. Modern football is obsessed with the present, with immediacy, with what comes next. But moments like this remind us of something essential. Football also lives in memory, in what remains when the lights go out, when a match ends, when a stadium empties. That's where Messi keeps playing, not with the ball, with memory. When he promised to return, he didn't speak about a date. He spoke about belonging. He didn't close a tour. He opened a door. And when he comes back, he won't return as a visitor. He'll return as someone who already belongs. Maybe that's why this moment was bigger than any match. Because it wasn't about winning. It was about connecting. And that, in today's football, is increasingly rare. So the question remains, uncomfortable but necessary. Do you think there's anyone left in modern football capable of creating this kind of connection without playing a single minute? Or are we witnessing something that may never happen again? I'm reading you.